5. Why do we need political theory? Political theory plays three critical roles. First, it explains. It gives us a big-picture understanding of human existence and society. Second, it evaluates. It helps us decide what's right and wrong, guiding our choices and actions. Finally, it speculates. It helps us think about where we are now and what the future might look like. While these tasks were once fulfilled by religions, cosmologies, and philosophy, political theory today stands apart, especially under modern conditions. Far from being dead, political theory is alive and essential for understanding and navigating our collective lives. 6. The big questions of human life. At this moment, we're diving into some fundamental questions that shape human life and our understanding of society. These are the questions we often grapple with, whether consciously or unconsciously. Let's explore them together. First, let's look at 6 essential questions that guide us. What is going on in the world? Why are things happening the way they are? Will these things continue into the future? Is what's happening good or bad, right or wrong? What should I do? Who am I? Who are we? These questions are crucial for understanding our place in the world. Understanding these questions is vital for the functioning of any society. In hierarchical societies, for instance, common sense helps individuals recognize their social roles. A person from a lower caste knows they must show deference to those above them. This shared understanding reinforces the social structure. But where do these questions come from? We don't always start with them. Instead, they often arise in times of crisis. For example, when someone feels alienated from their community, they may ask, "Do I really belong here? Who am I?" Similarly, encountering a stranger can spark curiosity. Why are they acting that way? Natural disasters also provoke reflection, leading us to question the nature of suffering and change. This brings us to cosmologies, stories we create to make sense of life's chaos. They help us find meaning in times of uncertainty. When faced with unpredictable events, cosmologies allow us to reconnect with what feels unfamiliar. They also challenge our common sense, pushing us to think deeper about life's fundamental questions. Cosmologies extend beyond just common beliefs. They raise significant questions, such as, is the world we perceive real? Does life continue after death? These stories provide a framework for understanding our existence, offering comfort and clarity amidst chaos. They bring harmony and meaning to what can often feel disordered. In conclusion, the questions we've explored today are essential to our lives and the functioning of society. Cosmologies play a crucial role in helping us navigate these questions, allowing us to find meaning and understanding in our experiences. If you found this video thought-provoking, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more insightful content. We'll see you in the next video. 7. The emergence of Western modernity. Now we are going to dive into how ancient cosmologies viewed the relationship between human beings, the natural world, and the universe itself. Let's start by exploring ancient cosmologies. In many ancient societies, there wasn't a clear line between the human world and nature. These societies saw the universe as a unified whole, and they believed that understanding oneself required understanding the entire cosmos. Ancient thinkers didn't just separate human behavior from nature, they connected them through ethics, which governed both the actions of people and natural events. What's even more interesting is that there wasn't a clear distinction between science and philosophy either. These two fields were intertwined, with no clear boundaries. Philosophy wasn't just about human thoughts, and science wasn't just about studying the world. It was all part of a bigger picture. In Europe, particularly in Aristotelian thought, the universe was seen as meaningful, purposeful, and moving toward a grand design. Everything that existed in the world was believed to be part of a larger goal, a final cause that gave meaning to life and the cosmos itself. Some cosmologies took this even further by suggesting that this design was not random, but was part of the will of a transcendent God. Humans, to find true fulfillment, had to align themselves with this divine pattern. They could come to know it through pure reason, revelation, or by God's grace. In conclusion, the pre-modern world looked very different from how we think today. Back then, humans didn't see themselves as separate from the natural world or the cosmos. Instead, they were deeply connected to it, viewing themselves as part of a meaningful whole. As we move forward in this series, we'll explore how the shift to modernity changed this perspective and what it meant for Western thought. 8. Explaining human and non-human nature. Welcome to our video on explaining human and non-human nature, the shift in modern thought. In this video, we'll take a look at the intellectual transformation that began around the 15th century and how it changed the way we view the world. In the 15th century, something remarkable began to happen in Western societies. Nature, which had once been viewed as inherently meaningful, lost its connection to higher purposes or divine intentions. This intellectual shift challenged the traditional Aristotelian idea that everything in nature had a purpose. It was no longer believed that fire rose or water flowed downward for any higher reason. In the new modern way of thinking, nature wasn't viewed through the lens of final causes. Things in nature were now understood as discrete and independent. A ball didn't move because it was meant to. Its movement was purely contingent on being kicked. The universe was not part of a grand cosmic design. Instead of looking for cosmic meaning, thinkers started focusing on regularities that could be observed. If something happened repeatedly, like feeling warmth near a fire, then that observation became the basis for explanation and prediction. This shift to observation-based understanding marked a key departure from earlier cosmologies. The rise of empirical sciences transformed how people thought about the world. Before this shift, philosophy used speculative reasoning to answer questions about both the natural and human worlds. However, with modern science, philosophy had to adapt. John Locke famously described philosophy as becoming the handmaiden of science. Because reason could no longer explain the natural world alone, senses and observation had to play a key role. Thinkers like Thomas Hobbes applied this new way of thinking to human behavior. Hobbes proposed that human actions could be explained through the same scientific principles used to study natural phenomena. In his materialist view, just as natural events had causes, human behavior could be predicted and explained through observation and data collection. This reliance on direct observation became essential for both natural and social sciences. Collecting data allowed thinkers to form generalized explanations and theories. These theories helped predict future events, whether they were natural phenomena or human actions. In conclusion, this shift from speculative philosophy to empirical science reshaped our understanding of both the natural world and human behavior. The modern emphasis on observation, regularity, and data collection has become the foundation of how we explain and predict the world today. 9. Understanding human. Welcome to our discussion on understanding humans, the emergence of two worlds. In this video, we'll explore how modern thought began to distinguish between two distinct realms, the natural world and the human world. At a certain point in history, thinkers began to view the universe as being segmented into at least two separate worlds. Although some questions can apply to both worlds, the way we ask these questions is very different. This distinction marks an important shift in how humans understand themselves and the universe around them. The first of these two worlds is the non-human natural world. This world includes everything from physical and chemical objects to plants and animals. The natural world operates according to physical laws, and its behavior can be explained through the sciences like physics and biology. The second world, in contrast, is the human world. What sets humans apart is our ability to reflect on our experiences and the world around us. This world is defined by human consciousness, meaning that our actions and understanding go beyond natural laws and include social, cultural, and cognitive factors. But while these two worlds are distinct, they're not completely separate from one another. Humans are still part of the natural world, interacting with physical and biological forces. However, our reflective and pre-reflective understanding creates a fundamental difference in how we relate to it. These differences shape how we approach inquiry. The natural world can be explained through empirical observation and scientific laws, but the human world requires us to consider subjective experiences and meanings. This distinction marks a major development in modern thought. This distinction is crucial in understanding how we study the world. Natural sciences focus on physical phenomena that exist independently of human concepts. However, human sciences require interpretation because human actions are tied to complex concepts. For instance, a state is not just a collection of buildings. It involves power, governance, and social order. Consider the example of John F. Kennedy's death. Physically, it's the cessation of life. But as humans, we conceptualize this event as an assassination, a political act. To fully understand this, we must grasp the broader political and social context behind it. 10. What are the functions of political theory? 10.1. First, interpretive and explanatory role. To begin with, our actions as human beings are often driven by what we call pre-reflective understanding. This simply means that much of our behavior is shaped by underlying concepts and beliefs that we don't always consciously think about, but which influence us all the time. Think of it as the automatic lens through which we see the world. Political theory helps bring these unconscious beliefs into the open and makes them clearer. And this is where philosophy comes in. Philosophy doesn't just help us think about abstract ideas. It's a crucial tool in clarifying and making explicit the concepts that shape human actions and decisions. Now, political theory doesn't exist in isolation. It works hand in hand with social sciences like sociology and political science. But there's a catch. Before we can explain what's happening in society, we need to grasp the concepts behind it. This is where theory comes into play. Without this conceptual understanding, we wouldn't even know what to look for when trying to explain social phenomena. In short, philosophy and political theory aren't just side roles, they're central to our understanding of society. They provide a framework to interpret complex human behaviors and societal structures. Political theory plays a dual role here. It not only interprets human behavior, but also explains how societies and political systems function. In doing so, political theory gives us the tools to frame and understand social and political events. It helps us make sense of the larger patterns behind human actions, institutions, and even conflicts. So, in a nutshell, political theory isn't just theoretical, it's deeply practical. It provides the essential concepts that allow us to interpret and explain the world we live in. 10.2. Second, providing patterns for human practices. So, what exactly is this second function? According to Bhikkhu Parekh, political theory must take a speculative jump to understand large social formations. Controlled, empirical inquiry alone cannot fully explain massive shifts in society, like the transition from feudalism to capitalism, or how modernity shapes human life. To grasp the full scope of these changes, we need more than just data. We need political theory to help us make sense of these patterns. Let's take some examples. The rise of capitalism didn't happen overnight, and no amount of data alone can explain the cultural, economic, and political factors that came into play. Similarly, the shift from colonialism to independence in many countries isn't something that can be fully captured by empirical inquiry. Political theory allows us to interpret these massive changes by stepping beyond the limitations of data. Bhikkhu Parekh calls this the contemplative role of political theory. It's about pausing to reflect on what the data doesn't tell us and using speculative thinking to offer insights into human practices and social change. This contemplative function is essential to understanding the general patterns that shape society. So to sum it up, while empirical data is crucial, it's political theory's second function, its speculative and contemplative role that helps us understand the larger forces shaping societies. From capitalism to modernity and colonialism, these big ideas need big thinking. And that's where political theory shines. 10.3. Third, evaluating normative concepts. This brings us to the third function of political theory. It doesn't just explain human actions, but also evaluates them. When someone makes a choice, political theory asks, was it the right choice? Did they have good reasons? And could they have acted otherwise? This is where the difference between natural and social sciences becomes clear. In the social world, human actions are tied to moral values. We judge actions based on ideas of good and bad, right and wrong. Let's bring this idea to life with an example from cricket. Imagine a bowler has been hit for 3 consecutive fours. He's frustrated and angry. As he gets ready to bowl again, he faces a choice. Should he try to take revenge by bowling a beamer, a dangerous and unfair move? Or should he continue playing fairly? In that split second, the bowler's decision is not just about strategy, it's about ethics. Should he use unfair means to get the batsman out, or should he respect the spirit of the game? These decisions require ethical judgment, not just tactical thinking. Ethical dilemmas are not limited to sports. They are everywhere, even in politics. Consider a government withdrawing from public education and how that affects policies meant to help historically disadvantaged communities. The policymakers have to decide, should they ignore the impact, or should they enforce measures to support these groups in new ways? The question isn't just about economics or policy, it's about ethics. What's the right thing to do? What's the justifiable action? To sum up, the third function of political theory helps us evaluate human actions through the lens of ethics. It's about understanding not just why we act, but whether we're acting for the right reasons. From a cricketer deciding how to bowl, to a government making policy, ethical decisions shape the human world. And that's what political theory helps us grapple with. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions on ethics, politics, and society. See you next time. 10.4 Fouth. Identity formation and guided actions. The fourth function of political theory is to help us understand who we are. In hierarchical societies, identity shapes action. A person's caste, class, or gender dictates how they behave and how others treat them. Political theory explores how these social identities are formed and how they affect our actions. For example, in a caste system, a lower caste individual might have to walk at a distance from others or act in ways determined by their social status. This identity shapes their behavior whether they like it or not. Political theory asks, who are we, and how does that influence what we should do? Finally, political theory is both a practical guide for action and a deeper inquiry into human nature and purpose. Classical thinkers like Plato and Hegel asked, what should humans do, given their nature? Even today, we grapple with these questions. 11. Decline of political theory. Welcome to today's video. We're diving into a topic that may sound surprising to some, the decline of political theory. For a while, many thought political theory was no longer relevant. It was even declared dead. How did this happen, and why was political theory seen as obsolete? Let's take a closer look. Political theory traditionally dealt with big questions. What is justice? How should power be exercised? What is the good life? From Plato to Hegel, these questions were at the heart of political philosophy. However, in the modern age, political theory faced a major challenge. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, positivism took hold, a belief that only empirical science could produce real knowledge. Early modernists like Comte and others argued that political theory, because it dealt with subjective questions like ethics, didn't belong in the realm of scientific inquiry. Positivists viewed ethical and moral questions as personal preferences, not rational or scientific topics. As a result, political theory was sidelined, and many even declared it in decline or dead. Political theory was no longer seen as a serious academic pursuit. It was reduced to personal opinions and moral judgments that couldn't be proven or tested scientifically. This marked the so-called decline of political theory. Empirical sciences like sociology, economics, and psychology became dominant, and political theory's role in understanding society was significantly reduced. But positivism made a crucial mistake. It assumed that facts and values were entirely separate. Critics of positivism argued that values are embedded in everything we do, and human actions can't be fully understood without examining the ethical and moral context behind them. By trying to strip values from political theory, positivists ignored an essential part of human life. As this realization took hold, political theory began to regain its relevance. Human actions, policies, and even the laws governing society cannot be understood without ethical reflection. Political theory isn't just about explaining why things happen, it's about asking whether they should happen. In this sense, political theory makes an important normative contribution. So why does political theory still matter today? Because it provides a critical lens to evaluate power, policies, and societal structures. It helps us ask not only how things are done, but why they should be done a certain way. In a world full of complex ethical challenges, political theory guides us in assessing what's right and what's wrong. In conclusion, while political theory may have experienced a temporary decline due to the rise of positivism, it never truly went away. Today, it plays a vital role in helping us navigate questions of justice, power, and ethics. Political theory bridges the gap between empirical science and values, offering a deeper understanding of our world.